With me is Comrade Kazua, who is also a member of Community Water Alliance. So we are an institution whose work revolves around three areas, program areas. The first one being environment, where we touch on issues of wetlands and solid waste management. And the second one is climate resilience, mitigation and adaptation. And then the last one is WASH. Those are our three program areas. We are committed as an institution to have an improvement on integrated solid waste management, anchored around the 4R model to waste management, which is the reduce, recover, recycle and reuse. So today we have convened this press conference because we are gravely concerned by efforts to give unnecessary life, according to ourselves, to a joint venture concession agreement between the city and Geogenics through an additional of an addendum to the currently persisting agreement between these two institutions, taking on clause 25 of that agreement, where the city, through that proposed addendum, will pay a monthly fee of 2.7 million, in addition to what they are paying at the moment, to Geogenics. And that addendum is not subjected to any variation or adjustments, where Geogenics will take the role of collecting waste from suburbs. We are actually outraged by the fact that since the day that this concession agreement was signed, which has a lifespan of 30 years, it was signed on the 9th of March 2022. At the moment, we don't have any municipal waste processing plant that has been instituted at the site. We don't have any waste to energy plant that has been constructed on the site, save for what all of us see, a football pitch that was paraded in the press by government actors in terms of what has been realized. I want to inform members of the Fourth Estate that today we've printed part of the contract where we have a variation under clause 25. You will have copies. We have printed a work plan that Geogenics in the contract agreed with the city of Harare. It has 5 years. There are deliverables that they should have realized for 2 years. And a copy is available for you to inspect, see, read, and check what is written here in terms of the progress on the ground. Acknowledging citizens' right to accessing information on section 62, information that is important for purposes of public accountability, information that is necessary for an exercise of the right. I think all of us were aware that under section 73 of the Constitution, we have environmental rights as contained in the 2013 Constitution of Zimbabwe. Maintaining our position that we think is the solution to challenges around solid waste management, where we do not subscribe to a linear, non-cyclical way of treating waste, which is anchored on the collect, transport, and throw away approach to waste management. It has failed since 1980. So, based on that position, where we don't think there will be any meaningful results if local authorities speak to that and continue to propagate that, worried that the city of Harare is now required to pay $123.92 per ton for collection of waste. I think you are aware that in the contract, the city is supposed to pay $40 per ton for depositing waste at Pomona. Now they are required to pay $123 on top of that, $92 to collect waste, because geogenics now want to take the responsibility of waste collection from the city. If you add, you will see that per ton, the city will be paying $163.92, which is around $164 per ton. If it is on a daily basis, a baseline has been done. All of us were aware that there was Operation Cholera in the city. And that operation, it is our thinking that it was used to establish the baseline in terms of what can be collected on a daily basis, so that geogenics will reap from what we are paying. The reason why this is very disturbing to us, we have not seen anything in the world where a supplier of a raw material to an industry pays for his or her raw material. Waste in this contract is a raw material that is used to produce energy. I don't see any reason why the local authority has to pay. Assuming that all of us here were carpenters, and ndaunza mapranga angu, and then you say I have to pay for mapranga ndaunza, how do I kushandisa pa process ya dawita? I think this contract, like what has been alluded to by others in the past, it was developed in air. Nowhere in the history of the nation have we seen a situation where the supplier of a raw material has to pay for the raw material. Following reports of the recently aborted City of Harare Environment Committee meeting last week, that meeting was aborted because one of the agendas that pertains to this addendum was not informed. Councillors were not informed. It was simply found on the agenda items when the Environment Committee meeting met, and several communications that came from the Ministry of Local Government pertaining to this issue. That's the reason why we are seated here. I have included all the communications. This is the communication that Geogenics sent to Ministry of Local Government. And this one, like what happened when the contract was signed, the Minister of Local Government had to come to City of Harare to sit with all of them and whip them to accept a contract that we don't think will produce any results. That was the situation when we had Honorable July Moyo, the Minister of Local Government. And this communication is highlighting that on Wednesday, 27 March 2024, at 2:30 in particular, Minister Chitando will meet the mayor, deputy mayor, and all councillors, including heads of departments and town clerk of the City of Harare, to deal with issues around this addendum that I have talked about. This is a communication that was done by the Ministry of Local Government to City of Harare to give effect to the addendum that we've talked about. So all these are the documents and what's transpiring at the moment. We are also concerned that the city has not taken heed to citizens' concerns that this contract has to be terminated. We thought, as agreed in the last time, that the contract has been terminated. And the reasons why we think that this contract has to be terminated, we have paraded that in the public. We have said it's not sustainable to pay Geogenics 40,000. If you are working on the 1,000 per day tons of waste at $40. And now we have an additional of $123 per ton. So we contend that this deal has no benefit to the city, it has no benefit to residents, and even the 4R model that even the Environmental Management Agency which is a government institution, is propagating within local authorities. We thus make the following demands. We demand that the city of Harare must urgently and without any further delay write to Geogenics expressing its unwillingness to have an addendum to the concession agreement. Policymakers have to meet particular councillors as environment committee and make this recommendation. It has to be passed to the full council and a resolution has to be passed. And the reasons why we think this has to happen, I've talked about the inadequacy of this contract to deliver on waste management. And I've also talked about no progress pertaining to what Geogenics commit to achieve as highlighted in the work plan, save for only a football pitch that we were shown. We demand that the findings of a report that was produced by the Environmental Committee of the City of Harare when the former mayor, Councillor Ene Makon, was chairing the Environment Committee. There's a report, an assessment that was done, and a report was produced, which was not furnished with the public. We want to have, in the interest of access to information, that copy and see what is the position of council in terms of whether they have said this contract will produce results. Number 3, we are demanding that the city immediately terminate this joint venture agreement. And a policy position that was given in the past pertaining to this termination has to come into effect. We demand that the city engage stakeholders on possible financial and technical support to give life to the 4R model, where waste is sorted at household level, at community level. We demand that the policymakers at City of Harare should sanction the town clerk from negotiating such type of deals which have no policy endorsement by council. I think this has to be done immediately. We also call upon the relevant parliamentary portfolio committee in terms of their role on oversight over the operations of the executive arm of the state, that they bring the Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Environment, City of Harare to the parliamentary portfolio committee to answer to some of these issues that we are raising. Lastly, we demand that residents, we are saying the residents, they should not sleep, the residents of Harare. They have to ensure that revenue that is collected through solid waste management, through what they are paying on bills around refuse, should not be wasted through some of these things that are happening. So with those submissions, I've come to the end of the presser, and Comrade Kazua will help me to chair any questions that might arise. And those who want copies of what we are saying in terms of evidence of what is on the ground, even the addendum, we have a copy of the addendum. It's available for your inspection. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Mzingwa. Now I invite questions from the public. Yes, sir.
Have we ever been to decide what's the assessment of the developments happening there? Besides the pitch, is there anything else happening there?
Like I've said, what has been promised in terms of what is on the work plan still is missing. For the first year, you have a copy of what should have happened, activity, timeline. This is the Gantt chart that the Geogenics produced, which is attached to the contract. We will not subscribe to any side shows where you want to give us information around a pitch, which is not part, a football pitch, which is not part of what should be delivered in terms of this contract. And we can't have a situation where maybe because they failed to collect the necessary revenue in terms of deposition of solid waste at the site, they now want to move to to communities. We have not seen any. But going inside and assessing each step, you should know that it is now very difficult. It's now a private property. If you are seen by officials, maybe they will have a press, geogenics staff are here with you. You can ask them that question. What have you done? And if they want to speak to the press and allow the press, all of us who are here, to visit the site and see and say, okay, in terms of the work plan, we've done one. We only know that they've done a feasibility study. We only know that they've got a cabinet approval in terms of what they want to do. Because they are saying it's a model that should not only stop in Harare. You should know that. And I want to also inform members of the press that if you look at the nationally determined contributions, which is a document of the state, issue of waste to energy is one of the deliverables. When it looks at their submissions to the UNFCCC, which is the United Nations Framework on Climate Change. So if it succeeds in the capital city, the succeeding that I'm talking about is collecting money without delivering anything. They will move to other local authorities, urban local authorities. And that's a worrisome development. If they have anywhere where they will say, no, we've delivered, let them invite you, not ourselves, the press, and tell you, in terms of the work plan, we now have a waste to energy. Because there are two things that are supposed to be constructed there. We'll give you a copy of the contract. It's not only a waste to energy facility. There are two things there. So that at least they can tell you the progress made. From our side, like I've said, we've seen 2 deliverables that they've done. A feasibility study, number 1, cabinet approval, number 2, and number 3, revenue collection, fleecing the local authority for that matter, and even demanding that even part of devolution funds should be paid, where the city is saying we will not pay. So that's what we've seen, what they have delivered. You can't tell me that a feasibility study should have been done before the contract. You can't tell me that you want to run a business. You have not done a feasibility study and you approve that contract. What should have happened? Even cabinet approval, those are processes that should have happened before the contract. So in as far as we are concerned, there's zero delivery in terms of what should have happened on issues that will improve solid waste management in the city.
Thank you. Another question? Yes, sir.
Why are you leaving that out of this? Because it appears what is happening is, what is about to happen is criminal. I mean, if it does not have council approval, and it's also backed by cabinet, which was also done without recommendation of council. Why are you not calling in SAC to move in and investigate this?
I think there is what is called thinking and working political, TWP. You have to understand the political dynamics relating to what is happening at the moment. You should be privy to the political context. You should be privy to the legal context in your interpretation of what needs to be done. And I want to just emphasize 1 or 2 points. The first one is that the town clerk wanted to inform the environment committee of the city. And the same political environment that was prevailing when this contract was signed. Remember, there were internal divisions in the opposition because the council is controlled by the opposition. And the same context where we have internal friction in the opposition is what is persisting at the moment. So riding on those loopholes and gaps, that's when some of these contracts are signed. That's the first thing. The second issue, the involvement of the Minister of Local Government. Previously, it was all Honorable July Moore, who came personally to the city and said the city should sign. History is repeating itself. The Minister of Local Government, the current one, Minister Chitando, like I've said, I've shown him on Wednesday. Hence the reason why abruptly we've said, no, we have to talk to the citizens, residents in Harare in terms of what's happening. That context will tell you that you don't necessarily need to just opt for one strategy, and you also make an assessment to see if this will be the best way. Because normally when Zach says no, there's no corruption there, what would you do? All your arguments are defeated. So based on that, our reading of the context, we think this is the first step, but like what we did in the past, we'll be visiting communities. Yes, we'll talk to residents.
Any chances of a public demonstration during that meeting with ministers and councillors?
We cannot say there will be a demonstration because this is Wednesday, and I know that members of the police are in this room. To hear whether I'm going to say there will be a demonstration on Wednesday when notification says maybe it's 7 days and already we are defeated in terms of the days. What I can only say is that this thing, it will not pass as long as we are alive. How we are going to achieve that, that's our own issue to tackle. But because it's a very painful thing, so it will not pass. Whether councillors want it or they don't want it, this thing, this addendum will not have life.
Have you engaged the councillors?
We have informed them of our position, particularly the chair of the Environment Committee. And when we alerted them, because they were not aware, particularly the chairperson, at first they dismissed us. We had this evidence, but we did not share. Even up to date, they don't have this document.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Maybe I can take 2 more questions. One.
Costa como freelance journalist. Wamtsinga mukatsanangurira wezvechishona nyaya yemafika manyowani amukutaura $123 ne$40 pauti maresident anozonzwisisa nechishona kuti mari dzakamira sei uye dziri kutanga papi.
Tese tinoziva kuti guta reHarare musi wa9 March 2022 rakasainirana chibvumirano nekambani inonzi Geogenics kuti itore marara ari paPomona yoproducer magetsi ainozotengesera kuzesa. Izvi zvose zvisati zvaitika taane makore 2 chibvumirano chichasainwa. Geogenics yakuya zvekare yakuti yakuda kuti seat of Harare, and they are raising a very stupid argument yekuti hatisi kuproducer nekuti marara haasi kuuya, but hapana pachati chavakwa ipapo chine chekuita nenyaya yekuti marara achinjwa aende kumagetsi. Saka vakuti seat of Harare inofana kuvabhadhara pazuva patani mari inoita iyo $123.92 patani. Vachiunza marara avanomanikidzwa, mukaenda padendam pacho hapana negotiation pamaquantities emarara anofana kuuya. Vari kunzi vanofana kunge vachisupply marara anoita iyo 850 tons pazuva, vachibhadhara 123 pakukolekta chete kucommunity. And addendum ayo yakataura kuti kana seat of Harare iriyo yatakura, isi totoziva kuti ndo ichatakura because ukaona zvanyorwa imomo zvinoreva kuti seat of Harare pamwe ndo ichatakura futi. Ivana vanyingosevhisa pafleet yeseat of Harare. Vabhadhara mari iyoyo pamwedzi inoita 2.7 million. Vozonobhadhara futi kuno matsveta kwaanenge achiitwa pachi ne$40 patani. Saka tiri kuti chibvumirano ichi hachina zvachinobatsira kugadzirisa dambudziko remarara. Hongu tinowirirana nehurumende pairi kuti takamirira SADC summit, town inofana kunge yakachena. Ipapo hatina kupokana nehurumende. Hongu tinowirirana nehurumende kuti guta rasangana nematambudziko ari kutadza pakukolekita marara. Asi hatibvumirani nekuti chirongwa ichi chinogona kupedza dambudziko remarara. So that's what we are saying. Ndo zvatiri kutaura. Saka tiri kuti hurumende yekumusoro national government ngairege kumbunikidza chibvumirano ichi kuguta reHarare nekuti hachina zvachinotibatsira pakupedza dambudziko ratinaro. SADC summit inogona kuuya marara pasina abiswa panguva pfupiyo, but sustainability yekuti guta rikwanise kubhadhara mari inosvika kana 5 million kugeorge iri yemarara chete, iyo chimboshaya 3 million yekutenga makemicals emvura, handioni zvichikwanisika. Saka ndo zvatiri kutaura kuvagari veMarare.
Tirikuonawo iyo mataura ekuti minista vari kuda kutombonyikidza council.
There are allegations kuti vari
yes. Munoona here city of Harare ichikwanisa kubhadhara mari kana tichitarisa kuti iyo ministry yakatotadza yakatoramba kuaprova budget reHarare City Council ra2024 richiraise a number of issues which include nyaya dzeoverstaffing and so forth. Saka mari yeMarara inozoka
mari sekutaura kwandaita havaiwani. Hapana guta paringakwanise kubuditsa mari inogona kusvika 5 million because remember zvandataura 2.7 million ndeye kuconnecta community. Pane yekunodhamba yanga yagara iri mucontract. Mari iyoyo pamwedzi guta harigoni kuunza. Ndoda kuti muzivewo kuti chimwe chatiri kutonzwa namakuhwa ndechekuti chikonzero chihombe chisina kuaprovirwa budget receipt of Harare ndiyo nyaya yekutanga yemasaini. Bozi zvinhu zviri kurezwa imomo zvekunzi city of Harare haina kubhajeta ERP, mune budget re$50,000 US muproposed budget receipt of Harare. Saka zvekunzi haina kuisa ERP, zvekunzi tiri ngaiimplement resolutions auditor tinowirirana naminista ipapo, but haisi city of Harare chete ine marecommendations auditor general. All local authorities in Zimbabwe, why city of Harare and at this particular time? Saka tine makuhwa atiri kunzwa haasi confirmed kuti paroda kutwiswa city of Harare kuti kana muda kuti tiapprove budget renyu, so you can't spend kana budget risina kuapprove. Kana muda kuti tiapprove chitanga yemasaini addendum. Ndo makuhwa atiri kunzwa haasati aconfirmed hawo, asi ndo zvatiri kunzwa.
Yeah, thank you. If there's any other question, we can declare this press closed.